Hallo und willkommen zu unserem Video Nummer 2 hier von der Ubisoft 4 Schau in Los Angeles. Und ihr habt es vielleicht schon erraten, Watch Dogs 2 gibt es zu sehen. Und ich bin sehr gespannt, ob das besser wird als Teil 1, genauso gut oder was auch immer. Also die Hacker sind alle unter uns und wir gucken jetzt mal, was die so machen.
Hello, I'm Jonathan Morin. I'm the creative director on Watch Dogs 2.
Ich stehe hier mit Jonathan, dem Creative Director von Watch Dogs, und werde ihm jetzt sämtliche Geheimnisse des Spiels entlocken. Jonathan, could you tell us what is the secret of the success for Watch Dogs 2?
Watch Dogs is all about grounding ourselves into the reality of our world. So one of the main thing about Watch Dogs 2 is it was all about finding the right setting for this game. As soon as we zeroed in into the Bay Area, it gave us a lot of different interesting ideas. Like first and foremost, when you go and visit the place, it became immediately apparent that this place has been constructed with this idea that everybody can have the ability to go around what's preconceived as how it works, right? Innovation of technology, brilliance of thinking differently and making something different, which we thought was exactly how a hacker thinks. You look at a system, he understands it, and then he's like, wait a minute, I can do something else with that, and start exploiting it. So as soon as we started visiting and talking to those companies, hearing their pitch, feeling the vibe, it leaned us towards a younger character, someone who still have plenty of things to do in life and see that everything is possible and don't accept preconceived ideas as something that should work this way. And I think that guy has plenty of things in his background to live enough frustration to think that there's stuff that should be done differently, and he has everything in his power to be able to challenge how things work.
And you choose a very cool hip character for the new Watch Dogs main character, or why did you do this?
We wanted to make sure that we portrayed the hacking culture a bit more. The first game was interesting, and it pushed into what we felt Chicago was leaning us towards creatively. But the California have a very different vibe. California is all about like the American dream, if you want, and when we hear people talking about things and everybody was successful there, we're impressed by how they actually spin things around and are creative about their approach, which leaning us towards making a Watch Dogs 2 game where hacking what gives you the feeling that you're creative. So we wanted players to feel this way. Instead of pressing a button at something and it does a preconceived outcome, we went for, you know what? Give them something analog. If they control something from a distance, it should become, let's mess around with physics instead of pushing something up and down. And if you point at something that's more static, even that, you should just tap in an easy way to blow it up. Or if you hold it and lock into it, then maybe it should be a proximity trigger. Maybe it should be something that malfunctioned to attract someone. And each of those options are available everywhere, so players start mastering them, start having ideas with them, and the more they mess around with them, they can start combining them as well. So we can basically let them have their own ideas and be their own hacking mind little person.
I see. And the area is looking quite huge. Can I do some sightseeing over there? Are there any things I should visit? Or
there's plenty of things
which I can recognize?
Yeah. There's a lot of different landmarks that you can, of course, the Golden Gate Bridge and all of these things. So plenty of landmarks.
Golden Gate Bridge.
Oh yeah, and you're gonna spot them, be able to go into them, take pictures of them, selfies, and then learn about them as well. That's one thing you can do. You can sail boats if you want, like pick something, do some race. But I think the most interesting thing is you can just listen to the city. I'm a big believer that a city should be crafted by the stories of its inhabitants. Like, no city is a single story, it's all about the people that lives in there. So if you start listening around, digging into it, open your net act to listen to the possibilities, you'll find different operations you can go into. So after all, you're a DedSec hacker, so you're doing operations to find followers and progress in the game. Like you're creating your own collective hive mind where you can unlock your research tree and progress in the game. It could be main operation with cinematics and all, or just simple stuff you find that gets you sucked into the gentrification of San Francisco, certain weird stuff happening in Silicon Valley. All of these little things are there for you to dig into and mess around with.
So are you in contact with real hackers for getting it more real? Or?
Yeah, we had plenty of different collaborators, and we even have a guy full-time in our team who's basically going in all of those things. Actually, the first thing I did after Watch Dogs 1 is I took long vacations. And then afterwards, I was able to go to DEF CON. So last week of my vacation, I went to Vegas and DEF CON. That was great. And these kind of things make us possible to talk with them. They love the first game and start talking about what's happening out right now. The ACK car idea where you can remote control car everywhere comes from the fact that it was one of the most popular subjects at DEF CON that year. Like people were doing talk about which car they're buying because of the flaws they have, so that they can start digging into what they can do. And by now they demonstrated remote steering, everything we do in the game, they're capable of doing right now, which is kind of scary to an extent.
Which is the coolest car in the game?
The coolest car in the game? There's a lot of cool ones. There's the sports cars are great.
What's your favorite?
My favorite one is a little small, unique, monoplace car that we saw in Silicon Valley, which is absolutely not a performant car, but makes me laugh every time I see it. I wonder why that thing exists. But at the same time, it's very cool to look at it. So it's very atypical, and it flies, and I think it encapsulated so well Silicon Valley and this place where people are just trying different things, and I think that's spectacular.
So I have to go to Silicon Valley to find your favorite car?
Kind of. It's not my favorite car in real life, but it's my favorite car definitely in the game.
Okay. And some words on the control to change a lot.
Yeah.
What's different now? Because people, not everybody is so comfort with the controls from the first part.
Yeah, I think one of the first thing we wanted to push forward was revisiting the driving mechanics. So I think it was one main comment in the first game. So we redid the entire engine of driving, worked with the guy at Newcastle who knows what they're doing on that department, and making sure we could bring it to a simpler type of dynamic. So it's easier to control, allows you to go faster, and that's important because once you go 200 miles per hour, you can still hack every car around you. And we don't want that to feel like something that is only accessible to a few players. So you can just tap the button to do a shortcut hack, and any car steer right. So if you drive really fast, while you're in control and everything, you just tap, 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 and everybody clears the way and just feels great to go super fast. If you're a bit more good, or you're getting used to it, then you can lock into car and start articulating a bit more spectacular combinations with it.
Sounds good, sounds good. So you've got the opportunity to convince people who didn't like the first game so much with 2 sentences directly in the camera to buy your game.
That's great. I think on the first one I would say is Watch Dogs 2 is all about allowing you to be creative. I firmly believe that making game is almost like making a music instrument. So you create something, but you're not in control of what player is going to do with it. Once it's in your hand, that's where it gets impressive. And I think that Watch Dogs 2 gives you analog tool that will allow you to blow our minds instead of us trying to do it for you. Hopefully you're going to enjoy that.
Okay, we're looking forward for it. Thanks.
Thanks a lot.